Welcome to our online learning module of strategic planning and business management. In this section, we'll be discussing about strategic planning. Earlier, we discussed about long-term planning and corporate planning. Strategic planning is the third and the final chapter in planning system and business. And strategic planning is not synonymous with corporate planning, rather it's a constant of corporate planning. First of all, we should know what is strategic planning. To know what is strategic planning, let's move towards the next slide, which will talk about strategic planning. Strategic planning, it says that it's a systematic process determining goals to be achieved in the foreseeable future. So that means that the first task of strategic planning is to decide what are the goals that they need to achieve in future. And according to these goals, they design their strategy, how they'll proceed towards this goal with a systematic process. So strategic planning is dealing with that. A good strategic planning process shares a vision of organization with employees and create a strong organizational culture. That means that strategic planning actually helps top management to link their ideas, goals, vision and mission with the middle and lower level, and basically it's the lower and middle level who will be implementing the idea and plan of the system. So obviously all three levels are important, but in this strategic planning the vision of the organization is being shared with the employees and they're expected to achieve the vision and goal through a systematized process. According to William Glick, strategic planning is a stream of decisions and actions which lead to the development of an effective strategy or strategies to help achieve corporate objectives, decisions and actions which determine whether enterprise excels, survives or dies. So that means it is a deployable stage. In this stage, things are being given to the system to adopt it, to work on the strategies, to give a proper it gives a proper idea how you will achieve these strategies. It's not about only from William Glick, but there are other writers who have said the same thing, and they have insisted that strategic planning is actually a wide-ranging, critical, and a long-term thought for organizational success. So, one of the important tasks of strategic plan is to decide the steps through which you can achieve this goal. The strategic planning is fundamental to developing competitive advantage, and every business, be you consider service industry or a manufacturing industry, they boast about their competitive advantage. This competitive advantage is being built up by strategic planning. So we'll quickly move towards the next slide and we'll find out what is the nature of strategic planning. What are the key elements on which we can say that certain thing is based on strategic planning. So the strategic planning nature is accountability. What they do is they make somebody responsible and they assign their task and the successful completion of the initiative. So accountability is one of the key component of strategic planning. Somebody has to be accountable for the process, for the delivery, for the vision, for the goal achievement, the directions. Everybody has been assigned their task and they are accountable for it. Not only they are accountable, but there is a system which talks about flexibility as well. There is a mechanism for changing and updating the plan which is built up for the process, since nobody knows how your future will proceed. If there are certain chances or things which goes avoiding your plan, then you can obviously have an option to flexibilize your plan. So you can obviously think of other options with the present set of actions as well. So your plan has to be flexible, and strategic planning is flexible. Now the third and important thing is prioritization. See, in your normal life also you prioritize your work which works against importance and you do that task in the first critical way. Same for the strategic planning. They also prioritize their work. So priorities are established whenever there are multiple independent action plans and we find out which action plan is necessary to achieve. So prioritization is one of the key component of strategic planning. The next thing is specificity. If you talk about specificity, we expect results and milestones which are clearly defined along with the specific action for the implementation of these plans. So it does not talk only about goals, rather it talks about a specific set of actions which have to be taken to achieve that goal. So strategic planning mentions that specificity as well. And the key component of any planning, that is effective utilization, is also part of strategic planning. It ensures best utilization of firm's resources among the product market opportunities. Let me quickly move towards the next thing, that is balance. If we talk about balance, it does not talk only about financial decision making, but it's also talk about operational and human resources issue. So balancing every component, be it marketing, finance, HR, a strategic plan balances all departments and all set of actions of a department. The next thing which it talks about is realism. The question of what the organization can do versus what it could like to do is addressed rationally through the tone of optimism. The next thing is sustainability. A sufficient time period is covered to close the performance gaps. So a plan has to be more sustainable rather than an optimistic process. The next thing is futuristic planning. The planning has to be done for the coming future, and it prepares the firm not only to face the future but even shape up the future in their favor. So in this case, you don't swim according to the sea. You also plan what will be the problem which will be coming in future, and you make your organization adaptable. And the final thing is proactive decision. We all know what is proactive is. Proactive is you react prior happening of any event. So strategic planning also recovers or also suggests you some action before a problem occurs. So it helps the firm to understand the trends in advance. It also provides you benefit of lead time, taking crucial decisions and actions. So in this way, these are the nature of strategic planning. Nowadays, we find out that in any organization, strategic planning is being given due importance. With the nature we have studied, we can find out, yes, it's very important task of an organization. So finding out why this particular thought has been given due consideration organization, we'll be moving towards our next slide. So strategic planning has been given due advantage because of the increasing rate of technological changes. If we consider our last quarter coming from 1990s to 2020, there's been huge round of technical changes. Whosoever have thought in the 90s that the mobile calls will be free of cost, or we'll be having a data transfer rate of 4G or 5G, or the net is available at the tips of your hand, who would have predicted better about social networking websites? Who would have thought about artificial intelligence, dark power, business process re-engineering? So these changes have forced to adopt a strategic planning, because see, from 1990s to 2000, it's merely 10 years, and from 2000 to it's merely 10 years. So within across a span time of 20 to 30 years, technology has taken a vast amount of changes. To cope up with changes, we need to have an organization which is strategically planned to adopt these changes, rather develop their human resources according to these changes, so that we can have a better developed product for the customers or the consumers which are also technologically aware. So this particular strategic planning have that feature of flexibility we discussed in the last slide, and it makes an organization aware of it and they're flexible in picking up decisions to tackle technological changes. Now, increasing complexity of external environment as well. External environment is not in your hand. You need to study this external environment and you have to design your strategy according to that. We all know now economies have shifted from communist and socialist to capitalist. Now every country want to have a better future by having a better economy. India is itself aiming $5 billion economy. So we are also moving a bit towards capitalist sort of thing. Technologically, we have already been shifted from traditional to high tech. So the shift in economical, political and technological factors have changed a remarkable thought in our life, in the way we socialize, the way we think about other factors. So these external environment is not in hands of organization, rather they can study and they can beat the complexity by having a good strategic plan. So that's why they need a better strategic plan. The third thing which strategic planning does better is they focus on objectives. The first priority of any strategic planning to study objective of organization. So strategic planning focuses on organizational objectives, their directions of action, and how to achieve these objectives. So they have a fundamental plan and the operation plan how to achieve objective of organization. So an organization may not be specific about its objective because of lack of clarity and precise definition. But when planning action is taken, they concentrate themselves on tangible and intangible things as well. That brings a vast amount of change in the objective setup parameter as well. So that's why strategic planning is important. They meet the challenges. Whatever challenges this economy is throwing towards an organization, they are meeting it beautifully. Employees are of the new millennium concentrate on productivity, management challenges, quality service, and the likes of business. So the business plan foresees the management challenges, plans, and formulates a strategy and tactics to meet the challenges with the commitment of employees. Human resources are equally important, so we need to concentrate our plan on betterment of human resources as well as organizational objectives. So that helps to meet the challenges of the organization. When we move towards our long-term business plan orientation, this strategic plan also helps you doing that, meeting your long-term business plan orientation. The long-term strategic plan actually it's a corporate world's angle and clearly evident through the change review of business firm. So business firms were concentrating on short-term profit, but now they've been engaging themselves into long-run results. If they want to stay long in the business, they need to concentrate on the long-term running and plan of a business. That's what strategic planning does. It also offset uncertainty and change. So there's a continuous change in the environment, and the organization has to work in accelerating this change. That's why these changes are reflected in both tangible and intangible forms. Tangible changes are in form of change in technology, market forces, government regulation, etc. And intangible changes reflect in change in attitude, values, cultures, etc. So they offset these uncertainty and changes and bring the concrete result to the table. Third thing is increasing organizational effectiveness. So strategic planning ensures organizational effectiveness in several ways. The concept of effectiveness is that the organization is able to achieve its objectives within the given resources. Thus, for effectiveness, it is only necessary that resources are put to the best of efficiencies, but also they are put in a way which ensures their maximum contribution to organizational objectives. In fact, taking an appropriate plan can do this. It also provides better basis for making judgments. Strategic plan provides the top management with a better basis of making judgment about the overall balance among the different parts of the company. Business plans provide a starting point in the analysis of the proposed program. So that's why it's been very important to include strategic planning in your planning process, since they've been giving you so much detailed information of the organization. So now with these slides, I think you want to know how a company actually prepare themselves for strategic planning. What is the process of strategic planning? In coming slide, we will be going through that. So the process of strategy planning starts with establishment of goals. The first key component, where do you want to go? What is your goal? While doing this, the strategic plan is based on enterprise objectives. So these objectives are mostly formulated by top management. The values, beliefs are designed by top management level. So first of all, we'll know where we want to go. That will be decided by our goal. Once you're done with your goal process, then you'll establish the premises in which you have to work. These premises are built upon internal and external premises. So first of all, what are these planning premises? That include certain assumptions about the future, and on that basis plan will ultimately formulate it. So you actually define an environment in which your company will go through. This will be based on the ultimate premises of your working. This premise has been designed on intangible and tangible, internal and external premises, and obviously internal and external can be termed also as controllable and non-controllable premises. So what is internal premises? They include sales forecasts, policies, programs, and organization. All these premises are controllable. They are into your hand. An organization can change their sales forecast, they can change their policies, they can change their competencies, human resources skills as well. So they are into their hand. While there are called external premises, in which comes basically economical, environment, technological changes, government policies and regulations, that is not into your hand and they are non-controllable. So you study what is the strength into internal premises and you study external premises in order to chalk out your plan according to these policies. So you adapt to uncontrollable or external premises and you develop your internal premises in a way that it serves as a strength for you. The next thing is tangible and intangible premises. These premises can be quantifiable and non-quantifiable. So the tangible premises include population growth, product demand, product sales, capital invested, and other things like that. So it serves as in data for you, for your product, for your services. You can find out customers, you can find out the paying capacity, etc. In the intangible premises, which cannot be measured quantitatively. So you cannot measure political factor, social factor, technological factor. So they are non-quantifiable. So based on that, you define your boundaries, your premises. Once you're done with that, then you decide your planning period. Obviously, in the earlier phase, we read about long-term planning, we read about corporate planning that goes for 30 to 40 years, 10 to 20 years. So in this phase, we decide what is our planning period. So once we formulate our planning premises and the long-term goals, manager has to decide the length of business plan period. The plan of the period should be based on nature of business, their vision, their mission, and other factors have to be considered. For example, lead time, the time required to get back to original investment, and the length of commitment. You might have come across various financial concepts in which they talk about time value of money and the return time of that money. So this has been considered into deciding the planning period. Once we are done with the planning period, we'll find out the alternative course of action. What will the course of action we'll be taking to achieve our goals. So after formulating our strategic plan, we need a top level management that should find out alternative course of action available in order to accomplish the company's mission. For example, availability of the alternative technologies, alternative source of capital, highly skilled employees, and in case if you want to expand, you need employees for the your expansion plans as well. Once you're done with finding these course of action, you'll be evaluating your alternative plan and you have to select a course of action. So the management will actually conduct a SWOT analysis. In case if you don't know what is SWOT analysis, it is strength, weakness, opportunity and threat, and then they rank the alternatives according to that. After ranking the alternatives, the management has to select the best business plan available among them. Once you have done that, then you will develop a derivative plan or formulation of strategy. The management, after selecting the best strategic plan, it should formulate the other policies and plan, which are the sub plans to the main plan. Management should involve and consult lower level management as well, because they will be the person who will be implementing this plan. Once you're done with that, then you implement your business plan. So after the development and selection of plan, a derivative plan, management has to take initiative to implement this business plan. And it does not say that only implementation is necessary. Once you implement your plan, then you measure and you control your plan. So after the strategic plan it's put into action, the management has to measure the progress of the plan. If something goes not well according to the plan or the results are not good, you can obviously change or you can modify your planning action. That's why it's been flexible. So you can do that at any cost of time and you can control your business planning according to this fast pace. So everything goes round, but you need to evaluate your plan into derivative plans, into implementation, into control part. If you find anything wrong out there, you can always get back to your derivative plans and your alternative plans as well. In the next phase, we'll study about why strategic planning is important for an organization. So, strategic plan is very much important for an organization since it develops a framework for developing operating budget. So an operating budget which involves resource commitment for the next year as well. It is essential that such resource commitment are made with a clear idea of where the organization is heading over the next several years. So a strategic plan provides a broader framework. Thus an important benefit of preparing a strategic plan is that it facilitates the formation of effective operating budget. So you need operating budget for various purposes. So for that, the strategic plan is important. Also, you will be developing some management tools as well. So the formal strategic planning is an excellent management education training tool. It provides manager to think about strategies and their implementation part. So manager is responsible to develop these activities through which they are achieving the objectives. So strategic plan gives them that basis, that fundamental or that platform through which they can develop these tools. Then there's a mechanism to force manager to think long term. It's one of the beautiful mechanism through which managers actually devise about their future strategies, about long-term strategies. I already said that it's a constituent of corporate planning. Corporate planning is for a long-term period. So it gives manager that time to think for the long-term planning also. It also helps in aligning managers with corporate strategies. The debate, discussions and negotiation that take place during the planning process help and clarify corporate strategies, units, and align managers with such strategies that show implication of corporate strategy for individual managers. And in the end, it's a framework for short run action plans also, because corporate strategy has been made for a longer duration, for a longer time period. So the problems which comes into day to day business or the shorter term period is been dealt by strategic planning. So strategic planning shows the implications of programming decisions of the action plan in short run, and it also made one at a time, and strategic planning brings them together. So preparing the strategic plan may reveal that individual decisions do not add up to a satisfactory whole. So it's planned new investment and may require more funds in certain years than the company can obtain in those years. So planned changes in the direct program may require changes in the size of the years. So that these are the benefits of or the importance of strategic planning. Now, what are the limitations of strategic planning through which we can avoid these limitations and we can make our strategic planning more better? So it comes with few limitations. For example, it comes with monitoring problem. See, every manager is not a good monitor of every exercise which has been done. Implementation of strategic planning is planned accordingly, but results matter. In the process part, we saw that in the end, in the controlling part, the results analysis or the review analysis was very important. Same happens to this part. We don't find managers who are good monitors or monitoring in terms of having the results. That's why strategic planning does not give you good result if your manager is not monitoring activities properly. And again, another issue is managers are very much afraid of failures. See, planning is not 100% sure whether it actually studies future forecasting and then it decides their plan of action. So there are chances that sometime planning can fail, but managers actually afraid of doing this. That's why they're afraid of doing some experimentation as well. This gives them a shorter hand in strategic planning because strategic planning is flexible. It can change your problem solution in a very short time period, but somebody has to experiment with that. And the third thing is managers are unskilled as well. They Some managers do not have required skills to understand and analyze external environment. And external environment is not into your hand. You study them and you design your plan according to them. So you adapt to them rather than you decide what will you have into your hands. So managers are not skilled to have that. The next problem which we face is inefficient planning as well, which is the core component of any planning. Manager, due to their deficient and inherent nature, they fail to plan effectively, and this uncertainties in the environment make the business plan inefficient. Then they are reluctant to formulate objectives. This is one of the key limitations of strategic planning. Some managers are reluctant to formulate objectives for their department or job, so it is limited to their department only. But strategic planning is not made only for department, rather it comprises various departments. It is designed for whole. Next problem which we face is it fails to integrate plans. That means manager failed to integrate plans of their department or jobs with organizational plans, which we discussed earlier. That the management was designing these plans, the management was actually working on an individual plan, but see, the system needs to cover strategic planning for the whole course of action. So they need to do that. Once they are done with that, the other problem which they feel is the misleading forecast. So what is misleading forecast? This is due to wrong premises, assumption, the wrong data they have, or the wrong analysis of external or internal environment. They do this. They actually feel they actually get a wrong analysis of that forecasting. So if you have a wrong forecast, how would you expect a good plan for that? Then there are intergroup conflict as well. Intergroup conflict and interdepartmental conflict are also important limitations of a business plan or a strategic planning system. And that comes because of various things. For example, you actually lack understanding between the objectives of the firm, the constructive approach of objectives. Then there are different values and personalities of individual managers, competitions in terms of scarce resources. There are various reasons which can bring intergroup conflict. Once we are done with our limitations or we work on this limitation, our plan will actually be one of the best plan we can have. The basic element of any strategic planning is flexibility and able to convert their plan according to nature or according to the coming environment basis. So it has to be flexible and it has to be result oriented. This was all about strategic planning. We are done with the 3 planning system in our this video lectures for you. If you find any problem, any question or queries, you can post anytime in the comment box. You can also write an email to me, that is on my ID manish.kumar@iamr.ac.in, and in any time you can actually drop in your mail or you can message me as well. For further PPTs or slides, you can also refer our website, that is ccs.iamr.ac.in. You can get into the download section and you can find out PPTs of various other subjects as well. In the meantime, you can also be finding our various sample papers which are available on the website. So do tune to that particular website to find out various contents for the academic part of it. In the next video, we will talk about the few questions and answer of this particular unit. Then we will start our next unit, which will be dealing with various aspects of strategic management, in which we will be discussing a lot about corporate strategy and another part of it. So till then, please go through these videos, and if you find any problem, you can post in comment box. Thank you very much for attending the session.